What is going on? And welcome back to another episode of I Coach Nutrition Radio. Today, I'm coming at y'all to talk on the topic of how to build a sustainable diet, right? There are so many different diets out here, so many different fad diets, right? And so many that, maybe you can do for a week or for a month, right? But ultimately, it's just not something that's actually sustainable for the rest of your life. Right. And so the reason that is that you're trying to fit yourself into this cookie cutter box of a diet. And I could insert any diet that is out there, right? And say the same for because it's not individualized to you. Right. And so I'm going to go through the kind of the process that I would recommend in terms of trying to figure out how to build a diet, quote unquote diet, right? That is actually going to fit into your lifestyle and is actually going to be healthy, right? But also sustainable. Right? Because if you can't do it for the rest of your life, then what the hell is the point in doing it in the first place? Unless maybe you want to experiment, some people want to experiment and try some of these things out, and that's fine. But you just need to know, hey, if I'm going to do something that's not sustainable for the rest of my life, this is just an experiment, right? Not something that's going to set myself up for, trying it for a short period of time, only to fall back into my old ways and fall into this cycle of starting and stopping, right? Because when it comes to living a healthy lifestyle, this is not something that you start and stop, right? This is a forever play. This is something where you have to play the long game, right? Because the game doesn't end until you die, right? I mean, this is ultimately something that you're going to do for the rest of your life. So when we start to think about, all right, how do I build a sustainable diet? How do I build a sustainable, healthy diet? All right. So for the first step is you have to definitely think about what are the most important components of nutrition, right? What really kind of breaks down what a healthy diet is. And so a healthy diet is definitely going to be composed of eating lots of vegetables and fruits into the diet, lean protein sources, right? Complex carbohydrates, right? Like mainly whole grains, right? And then also having healthy fats, right? These are all going to be some of the most important components of eating, a healthy diet. The majority of your diet should be composed of nutrient-dense whole foods. So when we start to think about this kind of breakdown from a percentage standpoint, 80% of the time should be nutrient-dense whole foods. It should be lots of vegetables and fruits, lean protein sources, right? Whole grains, healthy carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates, and then healthy fats, right? That's going to be really the majority of your diet. That should be 80% or more of the time. Now, the other 20% of the time, and this is where we get out of this like all or nothing mindset of like good and bad food, right? Categorizing food as good or bad, or feeling like you have to be completely strict for the rest of your life, right? This is that other 20%. And this is where you have to create balance, right? What are the non-negotiables in your life that's going to allow you to follow a healthy diet for the majority of your life or for the rest of your life, right? Follow a healthy diet the majority of the time for the rest of your life. And this is going to be things like, what are your non-negotiables, right? What are your favorite foods that you want to be able to work into the mix, right? What are the things that you're going to want to be able to enjoy? Date nights, vacations, holidays, right? And ultimately, what are your goals, right? Because depending upon what goals you're currently working towards and what different, what seasons of life you're in, your nutrition is going to change, right? In terms of like the consistency of it and how strict you are and how disciplined you need to be and how much willpower you need to rely on and how many sacrifices that you need to make, right? So generally speaking, this is why we come back to that kind of 80-20 balance, right? 80% of the time or more, you're focused on eating nutrient-dense whole foods, right? And so what that could look like is, hey, you're cooking the majority of your own food, right? You're keeping eating out to like 4 times a week or less, which should be, about 20% of the time or less. If you're eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 3 times, breakfast, lunch, and dinner each day, that's 21 meals, right? So 17 of those should be cooked by you. 4 of those should be, you can go out to eat for. And that's kind of that 80-20 balance there in terms of cooking the majority of your own food versus just eating out fast food, restaurant food all the time. And with that, there are some people that have to eat out the majority of the time because they're traveling, they're constantly on the road. And so that's where it falls back into, hey, it's not hard to eat healthy when you go out to eat. It's hard to make the healthy decision when you go out to eat. You can definitely eat healthy or eat on the healthier side when you go out to eat. It's all a decision that you're ultimately making there. And I realized that not every restaurant you can do that, but most restaurants you can. All right. So the other side of it with that 20% again is creating a list of your non-negotiables. What is that balance going to look like for you for this to actually be sustainable? Right? Because if you can come up with a game plan and a strategy to help you to be successful long term, then you're ultimately going to be way more adherent. You're going to be way more consistent. You're going to believe that you can actually do this for the rest of your life, rather than me sitting here saying, oh, you just need to eat chicken, broccoli, brown rice for the rest of your life for every meal, right? That's not sustainable. If I sat here and gave you the perfect meal plan to follow, you're not going to follow that for the rest of your life. I could take any meal prep company that's out here, and although that they can be a great tool, you're not going to eat the same food from the same meal prep company for the rest of your life. You're just not going to do it, right? We get bored of things. We need variety, right? And we just get sick of eating the same thing all the time, ultimately. So there's a lot of different components here in terms of how to build a sustainable diet. You got to look at nutrition as kind of, two categories here of food quality and food quantity. So you've got to understand, yes, 80% or more of the time should be nutrient-dense whole foods, lots of vegetables and fruits, lean proteins, complex carbohydrates, right? Whole grain carbohydrates and healthy fats. And then 20% of the time, enjoy whatever it is that you want to enjoy. And then also we need to look into the quantity side of the equation. You really need to build awareness around, based off you individually, right? Which your needs are going to be completely different than everybody else in the world. How many calories allows you to be able to maintain your weight currently in this season of life that you're in right now, based off your current metrics, your current physiological needs, your current activity level, right? Your current hormonal status, etc. Right? And then also, how many grams of so going back to the calories, how many calories, if you wanted to lose weight or lose body fat, what would that look like? What would a calorie deficit be for you? Or if you wanted to gain weight, if you wanted to gain muscle, what would a calorie surplus look like for you? Right? Knowing those numbers is extremely important, right? Same thing with the macronutrient side of things. We need to make sure that you understand, hey, how many grams of protein should you be consuming per day? How many grams of fat should you be consuming per day? How many grams of carbohydrates should you be consuming per day? And this is, again, breaking this up into food quality and food quantity. Food quality is, hey, you're cooking the majority of your own food, right? It's the majority of it is nutrient-dense whole foods. But also that other 20% of the time, you need to have balance. You need to work those non-negotiables in. You need to just enjoy life if that's what you want to do, right? If food is a part of life, which it is very much so a part of life and culture for so many people, you need to be able to feel like you're not restricted to be able to do that and that you have that balance. On the quantity side of the equation, you need to know your numbers. No different than in business or with finances, right? You need to know your numbers. You need to be able to have awareness around your budget. What is your calorie budget, right? And really understanding what amount of calories makes you lose weight, maintain weight, gain weight, right? And also, how many grams of protein, fats, and carbohydrates do you need to consume to be able to feel and look and perform the way that you want? All right. So obviously, how to build a sustainable diet, this is something that can get extremely complex and we can go very, very, very deep on. I just wanted to really challenge you to really kind of think about this from a 10,000-foot view and really try to simplify the process as to, hey, what's kind of like the overall picture here, right? As to how to build a sustainable diet. From here, I'd love to get some feedback from you. I'd love to get some questions so that maybe we can dive into some of these nuances a little bit more in depth and really get specific with some of these different, scenarios that we could go into. But hopefully this kind of gives you a 10,000-foot view. And hopefully this helps. Hopefully it adds value. If you haven't joined our private Facebook group, the iCoach Nutrition Family private Facebook group, it's our online nutrition and lifestyle coaching company group. The majority of the members that are in there are those that I work with one-on-one or that I've worked with one-on-one over the last 10 years. And I also encourage them to invite their family, their friends, their coworkers into that group. So ultimately, it's just an awesome community of education and support. If you're looking to find a community to be able to be a part of, it's a free group. Request to join. I'll add you into the group. Obviously, you need to make sure that you're going to adhere to the rules that are in there. We want it to be a positive place, a safe place. But I would love to encourage you to request to join. If you're a good fit, I'll add you into the group. And again, this is just a free platform that adds tons and tons of value into each and every person that's in that group. So as always, all these social media platforms, podcast, the YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, right? All these different platforms. I try to do my best with putting this content out for free in hopes that it will help and inspire and educate and equip those of you with the tools that you need to be successful with your nutrition, with your training, and ultimately what it means to live a healthy, sustainable lifestyle. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being a part of this community. This February is going to be 5 years since I started iCoach. So super excited for that. It's definitely a milestone. It's definitely been a journey, right? There's been ups, there's been downs, but I'm very grateful to have you here in my corner and be a part of our community. And I appreciate you very, very much. So hope you all have an amazing weekend, and we will chat here soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.